Yeah.
Well, I think it's, given that this is our pilot episode, it's probably kind of good to kind of say why we're doing this, right?
Yeah.
Like, so this is, the whole genesis of this idea is that both, Graham and I are both in the kind of like the same place, which is we're on the back nine of our life, we think, in our late 40s, in your case, 50s,
early 50s.
Early 50s. And we felt like, I think there's a lot of people that are on the same journey as we are, maybe in a different financial situation, maybe in a different career situation, different part of the globe even, right? But I think the experiences are kind of the same. Like we're all looking back over the past 45, 50 years of our lives and feeling a certain kind of way, and then looking ahead to the next, hopefully 45, 50 years and feeling a certain kind of way, right? And we just wanted to kind of start this podcast to give, like, for us to chat about it, for us to go through some therapy, and hopefully it helps people who are on the same journey as us follow us. Like, this is definitely a brotherhood of sorts, and hence it's called the Back9 Brothers. And join us on this journey, and hopefully we will learn, not hopefully, we know we will learn a lot more from you than you'll learn from us, for sure, because we're just a couple of idiots doing the show.
And I will say it has nothing to do with golf. I don't golf.
For those of you that joined this podcast hoping we would give you some sort of, like, just know that I am the worst golfer on the face of the earth. So
Luther has golfed. I never golfed. So it's the back nine of life, because I think Luther said that, I mentioned it one day when we were having hookah or something, where I just said, I'm on the back nine of my life now, so I'm doing this. And he just said that resonated with him, and that's where this came from. So what's going on with you, man?
I've actually kind of, like, maybe for the first time, we'll be able to truly just kick back for the holidays, which is very, very rare.
Interesting.
Are
you usually like out of the country, or are you usually just working your ass off?
I'm usually either not so much working my ass off, but I have work on my mind a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that part is different this time, where I'm just like, oh, I can just chill. Like, I don't have, like, oh, I got to get back to this email, or I need to close this deal or whatever, right? It's just like, I can just chill this holiday season.
Yeah. Put your pajama pants on.
Fuck,
and hang out with the fam.
Yes, that's so true. There you go. That's it.
I've been very lucky that I've been able to chill usually over the holidays, but it's still on my mind because I always have client projects hanging out there. But I found that most people understand that you may not get back to them immediately over the holiday season, and they understand that. So
and if they are somebody that needs a response over the holiday season, maybe they're not the right client, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, right now I'm up to my eyeballs with projects, but it's good, man. It's good. That's good. What's on your mind today?
Well, I think, like, one of the things that I think a lot of us, especially in our age bracket, I was thinking about this last night. Like, it's crazy how much you tie your identity to your job, or tie your identity to what you do, right? And like, and even though, I mean, you can read 100 books that say you shouldn't, it's just so hard not to, man. It's just so hard not to, right?
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it's crazy how the identity of what you do, you just allow it to consume all your life, like the entirety of your life, and then you're just like, I am and I think it's really worse for guys.
Yeah, there's expectations for us to be the breadwinner and to be the head of the household and all that. And like, I actually talk about this in workshops when I do, talking about like limiting beliefs and imposter syndrome, that and really talking about authenticity, where I'm like, the last 6 years, my title, my identity has been video production company owner. Like, that's what I do now. But before this, I was piano player, singer at church for like 13 years. And that was my identity. But I'm like, the only thing that never changed was me. And now I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a community member, I'm a neighbor. And that no matter what my job is, that part of me is never going to change. And so that's the kind of stuff that I try to put out there. because it's so sad when people get wrapped up in their identity connected to a job, and then you're not in control. You're working for somebody. I mean, dude. And you can have all the loyalty in the world to that company, but as soon as the P&L goes down and they need to raise profits, they start cutting people and cutting salaries. There's no loyalty the other way. But you're still Luther. You're still Luther, the family man, the husband, the father. That doesn't change. And I wish we could lean more into that, to help us connect with other people and be like, this is really who I am. I'm not a video guy. That's just my job right now,
Yeah. No, I think, the actually, I'll take it a step back. Even before you're like a family man, a father, blah, blah, all that stuff, you're just Graham. Like, like Graham with, the certain childhood, like certain memories, all that good stuff, good and bad, right? Like everything fucked up that probably happened to you, everything good that happened to you, everything fucked up that you did to yourself, right? Like, because you're all that. And then you're trying to like then kind of put like facades on top of that shit, right? And then you kind of maintain, then you're like, it's almost like you're like building this facade on facade. And the older you get, right? Like, I mean, we call it the Back9 Brotherhood for a reason, right? Like, because it's like, we're all in the Back9. Like, like I'm 46, like you're what?
51.
51. Yeah. So like, so all these facades, and they're all like intricately built on the last facade that you built. Yeah. And it's like this weird house of cards that you have, right? Which it all, if you, it's like if you could go back to the original sin, like what was that? It's like this one thing that you said, I am going to be, like, it's when you ask kids, right? Like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they're like, I want to be a pilot. And you're like, and then as you get older, you're like, oh, shit, I never became a fucking pilot. Like, it's like you're just gonna like, and then you're like, and so then you keep building this thing, and then you're trying to like manage this like weird multiple plates, house of cards, and whatever analogy that you can come up with. You're just kind of trying to keep all these things afloat at the same time. And I think it gets so tiring, man. It's just so freaking tiring.
It's exhausting. And I mean, when you ask to do this, like the biggest thing I want people to take away is that your biggest superpower is just being yourself and being authentic. And like you said, the facades, the masks we put on, we try to be somebody else. And like, it's so exhausting. Like, that's a great lesson I learned from a mentor when I started this business. I wasn't ever going to be a business owner. I never dreamed of being an entrepreneur. Like, this was not my goal. And so I have no business training. I have nothing like that. And I would feel like if I'm going in to do a sales meeting with a CEO, well, then I need to act like a CEO. I need to dress like a CEO, so I'm wearing like khaki slacks and a polo shirt and like, but that's not me. Like, I'm a jeans and polo shirt kind of guy. I'm a jeans and a black shirt. That's me. And one of my coaches was like, dude, just be yourself. If they don't resonate with that, or they have an issue with how you dress, or you being that's not a good fit. You're not going to work with. I mean, that was an amazing lesson, because now I walk into CEO meetings with jeans and a button down black shirt, and like, I'm not worried about wearing a tie or a polo shirt. And yeah, it's being true to yourself, being authentic, while it is scary to just put yourself out there and be real. Like, I put a lot of dumb shit on social media where my wife is like, I can't believe you posted that. But it's really freeing. It's real, because you're not trying to put on these airs of like, I'm this professional that's got everything figured out. And like, it's just like, I'm a dumbass, like everybody else, the imposter syndrome. And we're just all trying to freaking survive, Yeah.
Yeah. And I completely agree with that. And I think, but so there's the maintenance of it. I think what is quite debilitating is when you think you lost it. In the sense, you lost that facade, right? Like, if you're not a videographer anymore, if you're not the head of whatever, if you're not the VP of something, if you're not the CEO of something, right? When you lose that, like, you're just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? Like, like it's almost like, and it's kind of crazy. Like, you've told your lie this so much that you've believed it. Now you completely believe it, to when it's almost like, hey, this is my toy, even though you didn't have the toy to begin with, and it wasn't yours to begin with. And then once somebody takes it away, you're like, I have nothing to play with now, even though there's like, a mountain of toys behind you, right? You're like, I have nothing to play with now. And I think that's the part that's like, quite, then like a friend of mine, he's a captain for Delta. He's a captain for Delta now, But back in 2001, when he went through all the things that happened, like, there was like I don't think it's called layoffs. I think it's called furloughs. When he got furloughed
Yeah.
back in 2001, right after September 11, he said that he was like, if I'm not a pilot, I'm what I'm nobody, right? And it took him. I can't remember the story exactly, but I think it took him like 2 to 3 weeks or almost a month, where he said, it doesn't matter like who I am. I still need to put food on the table. So this guy goes and he actually builds a whole, like, where he was just doing, like, he's always been handy. So he would do like, hey, I can put a deck up for you. Like,
Mm.
hey, I can build like this for you, or hey, do you need me to come in? Like, he just started doing handyman stuff, and he would just sell his service as a handyman. And luckily for him, within like, I think like 6 months later, they actually sent him a letter saying, hey, so we'll come back to Delta, blah
Mm.
blah. But for him to kind of get past that, and I think you've told me something similar, where you just sat on a couch for a month or 2 weeks and said, I can't do this, right? And I think that's the part. So it's okay as long as the facade is going. Like, as long as it's going, you're fine. But when it's like taken away from you, or you lost it or something, then you're just like stuck for a minute, like you're like deer in headlights, you know?
Yeah, man. Like, my story was that I was working, had a salaried job. I was doing music, singing, doing video production at a huge church in Atlanta. I was loving life. I was never going to leave that job, but then I was doing video on the side and it just got too big. So over the year, my wife and I are like, oh my gosh, we're going to quit a salary job and be entrepreneurs and like do this for real. And so we had built it up. We had savings and all that, I'm feeling good. Like, there's money in the bank and everything's great. And I leave my job, and it was March 13th, 2020. And then 3 days later, everything shut down. And like, it was
Little
like
thing called COVID.
oh my
Yeah.
God, it was like $100,000 in committed contracts between like March and August. I had $100,000 in contracts that just went away. And so, yeah, for the next 2 weeks, I just sat on the couch and basically drank all day, every day, going, what? Because I mean, 3 days before that, my kids are like, I came home from work on Friday, my last day. They're throwing confetti in the air in my new company colors. Daddy's home. He's a business owner. We're all excited. That was on a Friday. And then Monday, whoop. And, yeah, man, then I'm like, wait, what am I? Is my business going to survive? Do I have to go back to my job? I got 3 kids at home. My wife's stay-at-home mom. Like, what? Yeah, man, it's wild how we tie our identities to our job, I mean, how's that played out in your life? Or like, what have you learned over the last year or two going through transitions and things? Because I swear every couple of years you get like a new, better role. You get a new role. You get a new, like, everything's going up and up,
Yeah. I would say this. It's very easy to get lost in it. I'll define what lost means. It's very easy to get lost on it all. By lost, I mean, there is like a point at which you start to say to yourself, I am responsible for all of this, right? Like, you start to buy into that, where you're like, look at everything that I've done. And I'll tell you, like, I've said this before to friends of mine as well. I remember very clearly one day I was on a work trip. I want to say I was in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. I was staying in like a really nice hotel, and I had flown there in business class, right? Because I was on a work trip. Flew there in business class. Was staying. I was a speaker at an event. I was on a panel, and so they had given all the speakers like suites, right? So it was like this really like massive suite, like, like where the TV actually comes up from the foot of the bed and all that crazy
Yeah.
stuff, right? And like you have like a whole living room section in the hotel room, like that kind of suite, right? And I'm looking out, and it's like this beautiful garden. And I had this moment where I thought to myself, like, none of this is actually tied to Luther Maday, right? Like, all of this is tied to my title at that point with the company I was with. Like, and so I bring that up because, like, because you're in the entrepreneur route and I'm in the, the trade time for work, for the job route. And so I want to say that because, like, I think there's very different ways that you can attribute success, I think, from an entrepreneurial perspective, and then from a job perspective. Because in the job perspective, quite often, almost every time, especially when you're rising up in a company or in companies, like there's a bunch of things that happen that are completely outside your control. Like the teams that work underneath you, the teams that report to you, don't report to you, the overall success of the company, the product that you have no control over, all these things ultimately kind of results in you having like a super jazzy title and a super like whatever. And then you're like, oh, I am so successful. But then when you look at it, you're like, if you actually dug in, you're like, I actually didn't do a lot of shit to get this. Right? Like it's like I have some knowledge. It's like the Liam Neeson, right? It's like I've acquired some skills.
I have a set of
I have a set of
skills.
skills, right? But the actual success that you're experiencing is not the set of skills. It's everything that happened around you.
Yeah.
And so I had that moment of realization, man. I was like, huh, like if you kind of stripped away my title, the company I work for, etc., and you just looked at Luther Maday, like I myself couldn't be in this like situation, right? Like I myself, right? I mean, yeah, could I like have to say the right words, have the right knowledge, just convince? Yes, but like I think there's, and so this kind of goes back to like, is it imposter syndrome? Is it imposter syndrome? Is it actual realization that you're like, what am I actually like? What is actually attributable to me, and what is attributable to the surrounding? I think there's like that was kind of a dichotomy that I kind of went through for a long time, and you know like so I'd love to kind of get your thoughts how you look at the same thing from a entrepreneur perspective.
Yeah. Well, I will say I want to tell the story about how you and I met because that reminded me of our very first coffee, and it not only does it speak about your humility, but it speaks about your heart and really your passion because you reached randomly. It was like the end of 2020, maybe it was 2021. You hit me up on LinkedIn and you said, "Hey, we live in the same town." At the time, you had a digital marketing company. You had a day job, a corporate executive day job, but your side hustle was digital marketing. So that's how you introduced yourself. You said, "Hey, we're in the same town. I do marketing. You're involved in marketing. Let's go grab a coffee." And that was like because that was my first year in business. I hadn't done a lot of networking. It was COVID.
Right.
Everything was shut down. That was my first like in-person, like one-to-one, like coffee, not Zoom. And I just really gravitated toward you. Like we really vibed. But then I came to find out that the digital marketing thing wasn't your main gig. Your main gig was this executive job. But what you told me, I will never forget this, dude, because I've told my wife this so many times about you. I'm like, you've got what a lot of people think is the peak or the summit of your career. Like you're the VP of something for, and I'm like, what you told me was your dream would be to do what I was doing, owning my own business and doing like marketing and working with people. And I just sat there dumbfounded when people like me who come from small towns and your goal is go to college and get a job and have a career and then retire, to hear somebody like you, who I would look at as you've reached the pinnacle of success, to look at my dumb ass and be like, man, I would love to be doing what you're doing. If I can make this digital marketing thing get big enough and work for myself, I would love that. And I was just, it just speaks to one, how we perceive success.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I looked at you like, cause I Googled you before I came to meet you, and all of a sudden your day job comes up. I'm like, wait, what the what? And then when you said that about, I wish I could do what you're doing, I'm like, what, dude? Like it blew my mind, man.
It's
But
crazy.
it just speaks to your humility about, you didn't lead with, I'm an executive above, but you're like, no, like, man, we're both in marketing. Let's go grab a coffee, dude. Like, and I mean, that's the tribe of people that I want to surround myself with. Humble people who just want to have relationships and help one another and just vibe with people. And like, yeah, man, it was 5 years ago at least, and I still remember that when you were like, I wish I could do what you're doing. I'm like, what, dude? Wild, man.
It's crazy, and I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I'll say one thing, bro. There is you ever heard of Shetty? Shetty?
Yeah. He has pretty eyes.
Yes.
I know him.
That's his this thing. But I think he's like he's a monk, right? Like he used to be a monk, or he had like a really high up job at I think Facebook or something, and then he left it to go become a monk. There's this quote, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to misquote this. He's like, I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am.
Yes. I know
right?
exactly
Which
what you
is,
mean.
like, because this goes back like what you just said, which is like, oh, like it's so weird how we perceive how the other person views us. And but he's spot on from that, the way he laid it out, right? Which is like, it's completely a going back to the facades thing, right? It's the facade of what you think the other person thinks of you. And you can see this, like depending on like if you take one person and you put them in two different rooms, right? Like you take them back to their family home where they're probably treated like a kid still, even though they're like in their mid 40s, like, like I am. Uh, and then you'll behave a certain kind of way. And you take them into a completely different room right next to it. And then you say, hey, in this room, everybody views you as a very, very influential leader. They'll behave very differently in that second room, right?
Yep.
And
Yeah,
isn't that crazy though?
I looked up the quote because I want to make sure we quote it right. He said, "I'm not what I think I am. I'm not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, actually, the networking group that you and I were in for a couple of years, like they talked about that in there too. It's the perception in our head. We act the way we think other people perceive us, rather than just being
100%.
ourselves, being authentic, and just, we worry about what people think, and we try to act the way. It's so hard. We think they're perceiving us. It's so strange. But yeah, that's something I've tried to do. I don't know if you want to call a lot of work on it, but I mean, I've focused on it because starting in, going from a salaried job to being an entrepreneur late in life, I was 45 when I quit my job and went full into this. There was a lot of imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to be doing this? And like I said about walking into CEOs' offices and trying to dress different and act different and speak differently. And again, I learned that from another mentor. He's like, yo, if you cuss, if you say the F word, he's like, use it because that's the authentic you. And if somebody gets offended by that or it's going to bother them, it may not be a good fit, like energy wise and vibe wise. But if somebody they're like, oh man, this is my guy, it's going to attract the right people and it's going to repel people that don't fit. So yeah, if there's no other lesson that people get from our conversation, it's authenticity, being yourself, because that's going to attract the right people to your tribe, And then, I mean, like, it's like when I met you, it was like we had a coffee for an hour. And then I'm like, what is this networking group you're in? You invited me to it. I was in there for 4.5 years. I made like $170,000 from that.
Crazy.
But like, it was because we met and I vibed with you. I'm like, I like this dude, man. And now, 5 years later, here we are.
Making a podcast. Yeah.
Maybe even 6 years later. I'm going to look that up and see when you reached out to me first.
It was right after COVID, I think.
It was like
it
was like the endish of COVID, I think. The first year. I'm going to find out.
Now, granted, in Georgia, we didn't really have like the beginning.
Right.
Like,
we were open by April.
we were out there running around in the middle of COVID. Like, people are dying everywhere. We're like, what masks? Yeah. Masks are for sissies.
It's like, whatever. Well, I'll tell you a story, man. That September 2020, I did a job for Nokia because they couldn't have their annual sales conference because, where they all come to the big theater and the sales guys wine and dine their clients, their annual conference. And they were like, can you come film our sales presentations? There was 18 presentations. 9 of them were in San Jose, California, basically San Francisco or Silicon Valley. And then 9 of them were in Dallas, Texas. So they had an office in Silicon Valley and one in Dallas. And I'm in Georgia, so we had been quote unquote open since April, and it's September. So I go to California, and oh my gosh, dude, restaurants weren't even open for takeout. They had like tape on the doors in the hotel, and there was like no room service, and you had to come down it was wild. And then I fly from San Jose. I'm like the only person in the airport. Get to Dallas, and they're like, hey, party. Yeah. That was wild. Wow. 2 extremes in 1 week. It was wild.
It is crazy how like the country treated COVID depending on where you were. So my COVID story, like, so I was with Bank of America at that time. I was on a project. I was leading a project where my time was going to get spent between New York and Dublin and London. Like, so I was like, oh man, great project. Love those, places. And so I the folder that I opened for the project, it said, and the trip that I went on, like at that time, I said, trip number 1 to Dublin and London. Like that's literally what it said, trip number 1. Because I was like putting all the information in there. I didn't know that was like the only trip I was gonna take. Like that's the sad part. And then like the first trip that I took, on the way back, it was weird because like in Dublin, the cab driver that was taking me to the airport to go to London said, "Hey, like there's some crazy stuff going on. I don't know, like and then he was telling me about everything that was happening. I was just like, whatever. So we were in London, did all our meetings, got to the airport. Airport was, and this is the London airport, like Heathrow, like it was
Yeah.
kind of empty-ish. And then I get on my flight to Atlanta, and I think there was like maybe 10 people on the whole flight. And I was like, what is going on? This is
when
so
when
weird.
was this again?
This is I think the
March?
week before
Yeah.
shutdown. Yeah, the week before shutdown, right? I can't remember the dates, but I remember it was pretty cold in Dublin. So yeah, probably like March, April-ish or something
Wow.
like that. Yeah.
I was supposed to, that last week of March 2020, I had a project go to Cancun for a week, do a lifestyle shoot for a resort company where they had 25 resort locations around the world. The plan was go to Cancun for a week, film a lifestyle shoot with models at the resorts and all this for their marketing.
Wow.
And then I was going to sign a 1-year contract with them where they were going to fly me all over the world to all their resorts and like shoot all this stuff. And as March is progressing, my wife was like, they're going to cancel it. And I'm like, no. She's like, yeah, they're going to cancel it. No. And then I think it was like March 18th or something. They're like, we canceled it. I'm like, oh, like that was another thing in my hopper that was set up for the next year. Like, yeah, man, that was wild times. But okay,
That's insane.
I found our first messages. I'm going to share them. How do I do this? It's awesome.
On screen. Can you share your screen?
Yeah, I want to show you, but I'm just looking for. I have a lot of tabs open, man. There you are.
That's funny. That's funny.
Not that. Whoops. I wanted to open this and zoom in on this.
Yep, you got it. Just scroll.
Look at that. Where you at, dude?
There it is. Yeah.
March 9th, 2021. Love your message. Pleasure meeting you. Hey, thanks, Luther. What part of ATL are you in? Love grab coffee. I'm in. There we go. That's awesome, dude. That is awesome.
Oh man, that is good stuff. But yeah, man, that is insane how like COVID, like I think it's funny we talk about this like identity and stuff. Like it's funny how many people I think revamped their
whole
identity, life identity, where they lived. Right, so many people like moved from state to state, moved from out of the country. Like I've met friends that used to live in the US and they were like, oh, in COVID we just moved to like Mexico and we've never come back, or we moved to Europe and we've never turned back since then. And it was crazy how people kind of reacted to that. And like I think it's kind of nuts too, because like it's kind of, and I always, you can see this always in like the stock markets and stuff. When something goes bad, people react as if like it's never going to get better.
Yeah, it's never going to change.
It's never going to change. Yeah, we are screwed. Like this is how the world is. It's a apocalypse right off the bat. So yeah, it's insane, man. But what a crazy time to come out of.
Yeah. Well, everybody thinks I was part of like the Great Resignation because I started my company then, but for me, it was just timing, dude. Like, but I'll tell you what, it did teach. I actually got, first of all, I had a lot of really cool experiences that I never would have, like doing things for Nokia in California and Texas. That wouldn't have happened. I did. I was working in a Catholic church, huge Catholic church in Atlanta, and I'd never been to a Jewish synagogue, and one of my friends is Jewish, said, hey, can you live stream our Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah? Because I'm like, nice. So I got to do that. That was a cool experience. And really, somebody that lives near me who owns a marketing agency, the year after COVID, he goes, man, I still see your company car in the driveway. I know you made it through COVID. He's like, man, you're resilient, dude. I want to talk to you about doing some work. And I actually ended up having a lot of projects just because I was resilient and got through it. And like, I mean, can you see this? Right there, mindset. Like mindset, dude. It's such a cliche, but it's really how you talk to yourself, how you believe in yourself. And, back to Jay Shetty, it's not about how I think you perceive me. It's literally got to be how I perceive myself. And that's that is a tough mindset shift because you're
Super
so
hard,
worried
bro.
about judgment,
And you know what makes it harder? I think what makes it harder is like we're taught to fake it till you make it.
Right.
Right?
I hate that. Yes.
Bro, like, I mean, like, how many times have people said to you, hey, man, like, look, you just need to fake it till you make it. You just need to show up with the confidence, even though you don't feel confident. You just need to figure out a way. And you're like, and now you're bought into it, right? I mean, I don't like, it's kind of interesting. I don't know if that's like more of like, I don't know, what are we in Gen X?
Yeah.
What gen are we?
I'm Gen X. Yeah. You're Gen X.
I don't, is there more
The
of like
best
a Gen X?
generation in the history of the world, FYI.
Amen to that. But yeah, like I don't know if like that's more of a Gen X problem because I don't know if like my kids struggle with the same thing that fake it till you make it. I don't know if they get the same advice. Like what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know. My oldest is 13, so we're just trying to deal with hormones in 8th grade and all that. So I don't know. And like my kids have grown up so much different than I did. Like I grew up in a small town in Wisconsin and my dad was a gym teacher. My parents got married when they were like 21 and 19. Like they're popping out kids at 24, struggling. Whereas I didn't meet my wife till I was 37. So, we were more established in our life. So like one of the first Christmases, we got so much stuff for our baby son. And I was telling my mom, I'm like, oh, this feels kind of weird. I don't want to spoil him. And she goes, hey, you guys are way more established in your life than we were. You're not trying to rub two nickels together and you're not eating beans and rice and beans. So you're just farther along on the road. So I don't know how to answer that because I feel like I try to give my kids an easy life while still teaching them lessons and not spoiling them. So like I never want them to know when, if we're having money problems or, things
Yeah.
like that. And I mean, one thing that's been great for my son is sports. He realized if he works hard at something, he gets better and gets rewarded, like making the higher level team or something like that. That's been a great lesson. But yeah, I mean, like I've never said "fake it till you make it" to him. That's for sure, and I don't plan on ever saying it. But I
Me
mean,
neither.
your kids are older. How do you feel about that with your kids?
I would say this. I think it's just a
But yeah, because your
different
daughter's in
approach.
college now. She's like legit
Yeah.
adult. Okay, yeah.
Legit adult. Yeah, definitely adulting with adult sized problems, right? Just like everybody else. I think that the approach for the most part, right? And this may differ, like, you and I live in Woodstock, Georgia, for God's sake, it's like versus like maybe, somewhere in the middle of New York, right? It may be different versus the middle of like Midwest where you're from.
Yeah.
I think generally there is a higher concentration or maybe like more focus towards their mental health, which I know I
Yeah.
didn't have, right? Like
Yes.
I didn't have this. Like, I mean, if I went to my dad and said, I'm feeling like, he's like, what is
Yep.
that? Like, I mean, it's,
Yep.
it's either you're doing it or you're not, right?
Yeah.
There's no, I don't feel like there's no feeling, there was no room for feelings,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And I think there is a much bigger, better aptitude and attitude and appetite for discussing both mental health, feelings, how they impact you as a person, etc. And I think from that perspective, generally, I want to say this, like, I think generally we are maybe a little bit more forgiving of not having to fake it till you make it and saying like let's fix the underlying problem first, or let's address who you are as a person before we have to deal with whatever this is. And I say this because, like, I work in a space which in crypto, right? Like generally everybody's on the younger side for the most part, right? And then there's people like me who are coming in from like the traditional finance space. But like, I would say this, man, I am sick and tired of people that say, these Gen Zs or
Yeah.
these like whatever millennials. Like, I think they actually have some superpowers that we just don't,
Yep. Yep.
And I say this because like our listeners are going to be people like you and me, and I'm sure we'll probably get a bunch of comments saying like, you guys are wrong, like they all suck. But I would say like, before you just say that, like, think about it. Like, there's a couple of things that those guys do. They're better about like addressing their own feelings. They're better about like actually seeing, how do I actually feel about this before I go do something. You know what they're also really good about, man? Like I've noticed, like I worked with a lot of millennials. They're good about not making work their identity. They're really
Yes.
good at that.
Yes.
Like they'll come in and they'll say, "What am I supposed to? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. You need to do this. Like you need to answer an email at 9 o'clock in the evening. I'm not.
Yeah, they set boundaries.
They set boundaries really well, man. You know?
Yeah, oh, I forgot what I was going to say about that.
Something amazing.
Yeah,
I
it
know it's
was.
coming.
You were talking about dang it, I lost my train of thought.
It's coming.
We'll cut this part. We'll cut this part.
No, I think you should keep it.
I'm 51, dude. I have noticed that I lose my train of thought. It's like, oop,
For me,
like,
it's name recall.
am I losing it?
My name recall has gotten bad over the past.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was when you said that. Gosh, dang it. Well, either way, what I was going to say was I credit my wife with doing that a lot with our kids, with you know, embracing their
Yes.
feelings, being compassionate, allowing them to talk about it, you know, and be like, well, we need to figure out, like you said, the underlying problem versus like just get in there and do it, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's I mean, she's really good at that stuff. I'm not so great at that.
Yeah. Yeah. Same
But
here.
yeah, I will say too, like when we first started talking on this, there's I don't care what company you work for, there's no loyalty from the company. So you have to set those
There isn't,
boundaries.
bro.
You have to be like, hey, I'm getting paid for 9 to 5. That's when I'm gonna be, you know, hey, if you're the CEO and you want to work at 11 p.m., go for it, bro. But I'm just a cog in the wheel. I'm just a little part of the machine. These are what I'm gonna do. And I think it's so much healthier. It's less exhausting, and you're like, hey, that's just a job. That's not my identity. And I think that is a huge lesson for people to learn. I think you're right. The younger folks have definitely embraced it, which pisses off the Gen Xers and the boomers who are like, that's not how I came up, man. I had to work. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I am anti hustle culture. Like, especially when you're in a sales job or you're an entrepreneur, it's like, man, you got to put your nose to the grindstone. You got to work 100 hours a week, 7 days a week to make it. Dude, I'm so anti that.
Yeah.
I am like,
Yeah.
I want to get the fewest clients possible and make the most amount of money. Work the fewest hours possible and make the most amount of money. Like I want to work to live, not live to work. You know, that's one of my mantras.
Yeah.
It's like I that hustle culture is not, I don't think it's healthy, and it creates assholes too, to be honest.
It really
you know?
does. Because
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. Because people this is, I'll tell you, one of the quotes I absolutely like gets underneath my skin is like when people like are either assholes or they just go hard at something and they go
they
hard
say
at
they're
you.
type A.
That's number one. Or the second one is I just hate losing. Like what are you, like an Olympic athlete? Like you're just some fucking dumbass that works.
I'm so competitive.
Yeah. Like
that's
your problem.
That's
your problem, not my problem.
That is a problem, dude. Yeah. I'm so competitive. Or they're like, I'm just type A. Like that's not an excuse.
That's not an excuse.
Don't be an asshole.
No excuse. Yeah. Don't be an asshole. Like how would type A means asshole?
Yeah.
And you should not be an asshole. You know what I'm saying? Like, why didn't you try to be something besides an asshole? I mean,
yes,
like,
exactly.
Bro, I am 100% with you. Like and I'm sure like people are like, that's because you're not a type A. I'm sure people are going to be like, oh, that's because you guys are not.
You're
type
not
A's.
competitive. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
okay with me. It's not gonna. It's like I'm gonna go to my grave.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's not it's like how my family feels comfortable and how we feel successful. And do we want freedom to be able to travel where we want or spend money? Yes, of course. We want to be comfortable, but I'm not striving to create a $10 million a year business. I mean, if that randomly happens, that'd be amazing. But that my sole focus is like, I want my family to be taken care of and for us to be happy. And then like heart-wise, emotionally, I want to do that by serving other people. Like in what I do, I like helping other people. I like helping them with their video marketing to help make them successful. So I'm able to do what I love to do, which is help people and make them successful. And then in turn, my family's taken care of, and I don't need to compete with every other video production company in the area. I don't need to feel like, I hate losing, or like I'm just not like that. And it's just, for me, mentally, emotionally, it's just a much better way to live. And just, I'm focused on my family, and not in a selfish way. It's just, that's how we're wired as humans. Like, I'm not like I saw a TikTok or something where the guy was interviewing some guy who ended up like being really, really smart. And he goes, look at this guy over here with his headphones on and just walking down the sidewalk, not paying attention. And the guy he's interviewing goes, dude, he's got his own life. He's focused on his problems. He's not trying to make you happy or worrying about that. Oh, somebody might judge me. He's like, he's got his own problems, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way. It's like, I want my family to be taken care of and happy, and I want to serve other people, but I'm not going to go out of my way to work 100 hours a week and try to crush everybody and win. And like, it's just not in my DNA,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the other thing is also like, if you and YouTube and all these algorithms love it, right? Like once you click on one inspirational, like that's all you're gonna get. And next thing you know, you just watched like 50 videos with like what's this guy? It's like The Rock or somebody telling you how you should wake up at 3 in the morning. You better not go to bed before it's and then like next thing you know, Alex Hormozy is like telling you like like how to like run
join
your
a
business.
school community. Yep. Tony Robbins gets on there, and then
Tony Robbins
Andy Elliott tells you if you don't have abs, you can't work for his company. It's like wild, dude.
All these reasons why you're sucking at life. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you're like, good luck, go to bed. Now that we have successfully, like all the platforms, now that we've successfully told you how much of a loser you are, you should go to bed and come back and do this again tomorrow.
That's the thing too, is like when I'm doing workshops or I'm doing content for like LinkedIn, I always try to position it as, I'm not a guru. I'm not trying to come across like some know-it-all guru guy, because I hate that kind of stuff. But I'm like, I literally know this, whatever I'm talking about. I've learned this, and I want to share it with you to help you, because the guru stuff just drives me nuts. And it plays to a certain crowd. It plays to like typically younger people or the alpha male type A kind of, but it's definitely not my vibe, dude. And most of it is so cheesy and corny. I always want to come from an authentic place of like, look, here's something that I learned and it might help you. I never want to sound like a salesy guru, and there's some funny shit out there, dude.
Yeah. And I think the thing that I guess the takeaway is, it's not that I lack motivation, or it's not that you lack motivation. Like we're all motivated people, probably just as much as the guy next to us. But I think where we draw the line is taking your motivation to the level that it makes you feel like a loser every day, right? Like,
yeah,
it's just like that's not motivation. Like that. That's a lot of things. It's not motivation.
I was in the airport a couple months ago, and there was a guy obviously talking to his team, and I just kept thinking, I never want to be this. I never want to be this. I never want to be this. He's on the being like, yeah, well then let's move that whatever industry term or insider to move that to this
jargon.
Yes, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this guy wants everybody to look at him and hear him talking about how successful he is and like sounding so smart. I'm just sitting there like, oh, I don't ever want to be that dude.
Yeah,
so gross.
I'll be honest with you. I wanted to be that guy in my 20s and 30s. I
probably did too.
For sure. I remember like having calls in the airport, like you said, or wherever, in a coffee shop or something, and think to myself, oh, I'm pretty sure the people around me are like, oh, look at this man of mystery. Like, like he's
so smart. Hey, I'll tell you, I was the same way. I used to be a manager for Crunch Fitness and Bally Total Fitness. I was like 27, 28. And at that, I was working 80 hours a week, and it was all about the sales, and I never had a day off. And I remember being on, I think it was Christmas. It was Thanksgiving or Christmas, and I had flown home to Wisconsin to spend the holidays with my parents. But every day I was on the laptop. I was on the phone with my team, because they're like, I have this person, but they were wondering if they can get 5 free sessions. And I'm just wheeling and dealing the whole, and my mom was like, what are you doing? But to me, it felt like, man, I'm the man, I'm the manager, I'm running the show. And looking back at that, I'm like, Gross,
how
dude.
often, and because I'm very guilty of this, and when my wife listens to the episode, she's gonna be like, asshole, right? Like, because I'll tell you why. How often, I'll tell you this, it's kind of a confession at this point. There's so many times when you are doing something that you think is super important and you're super busy. The rest of the world doesn't really give a shit, but it's in your world. And like something will come up, like your kid will be like, hey, can we play like, I don't know, something like hide and seek, or your wife's like, hey, can you like drive so and so, or can you pick up? And your first thing is like, do you understand how busy I am? Like, I
Yeah.
am doing God's work here. You know, like, and like you're like annoyed, you know,
Yeah.
just because in your
I was gonna say, I always try to, if there's any chance I can do whatever they're asking, whether it's my wife asking if I can do something, or when my kids get home from school, like they always come into my office, and if they ask me if I can do something, I'm like, really think about it. I'm like, if there's any way I can do it, I'm going to do it. Not only yesterday,
man.
where
I wish I was that. I was the opposite, man.
yesterday
Yeah,
I had to say no because I'm literally in the middle of a project that like the client is waiting on, and I was so close to being done. I wanted to get it done and get it to them, and I said it was coming today. And so I made this conscious decision because she was the 7-year-old's like, can you walk the dog with me? I'm like, I really can't right now.
yeah,
But most of the time I really try to say, okay, how long is, in my mind, I'm like, how long is it going to take? I can do it. Yeah, I can do
yeah,
it, So,
yeah,
but I think also like, I mean, how old were you when your kids were my kids' age? Like you were in your 30s, still
yeah.
climbing
Because I was a dad.
still
Yeah, I was a
climbing
dad
the
at 28.
ladder. Like you were in a different place mentally. Like I'm 50, dude. I've lived a lot of life now, so I'm able to more compartmentalize
Yeah,
and be
but
like,
this is
this
actually
isn't.
really good though, right? Because you got people that listen to us. They're going to be like me. They were like a dad at 28 or 25 or whatever, and then you got
Yeah,
people that are listening. They're like a dad right now at your age at 50, right? Like and so I
yeah,
think
and I wouldn't call it wisdom as much as just lived experience in that.
patience. I think.
Like you said, I understand what I'm doing here, editing videos and doing is not God's work. Like my kids and my family are more important. And so I've learned that over the years. So that's why my first thought is, how can I do what they want me to do? Can I put this on pause for 15 minutes and do whatever? And I think it just comes with time. Now, if I was in my 30s with little kids, I'd be like grinding and just like, no, this is so important. This is going to save the world.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's exactly how I was, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like I can count. Not I can't count the number of times my son would be like, "Hey, let's go play hide and seek." He loved hide and seek. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he was like, I don't know, 8, 10, and I'm like, "Sorry, bro, I'm busy. Dad's busy." Like,
Yeah.
and to the point where my wife would be like, "Hey, Dad's busy right now." Like, and like now when I think about it, I'm like, "Oh my God, like what an idiot!" Like,
Yeah.
I should have played every damn hide and seek at that time, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so it's crazy, but like, so now it's the opposite. So like now what happens quite often is, the kids, they'll be like, cause my kids are older, like my daughter's in college, my son's a freshman in high school. And so like, they're like, hey, we want to go do this. Dad, you coming? And my wife will be like, I don't think dad is. I'm like, no, I'm in.
I'm
She's
in.
like, are you sure? I'm like, I don't care what it is. Like, I don't care if I have to take 2 or 3 days off from work or this. I'm in. Like,
Yeah.
don't even ask me, right? Because
I
I'm
had
like, now I'm trying to hoard and not make up, but like I'm trying to hoard these like experiences with them now. Yeah.
yeah. Well, because now your daughter's going up to college, so you're like, oh, I got a couple more years before you leave. Like, yeah. And
And with
I
my
had
son, I got 3 more years, man, and empty nesters. Yeah,
woof,
we're not
I
far.
got
I know.
I had a cool experience last Friday, 2 Fridays ago, where every Friday I'm in a virtual networking group at 9:30 in the morning. And I emailed them Thursday night saying, I can't make the meeting tomorrow. Because my 2 daughters, 10 and 7, had their giving tree program at school, which is basically like
yeah.
they got a big blow up tree there, and then people donated items and they put items under the tree
I
to
love
donate
that.
to needy families.
Yeah.
Well, my older daughter was in the chorus and she got to like bring in a gift, like walk in the little parade thing. So I just said, I'm not going to make the meeting tomorrow. Because my daughters have their giving tree thing at school and I'm going to go to that. And one of the guys emailed me separately, which was really cool. He just says, "Hey man, just want to let you know, I'm really glad you're going to your daughter's school thing." He's like, "They're only little once and it's not
Man.
worth missing those." I'm like, these are the people I want to be around, not the people who are going to be like, "I can't believe you missed that meeting, dude. Like, it's so important to be like," nah, bro,
Yeah.
understanding what's important in life is so freeing.
There's two quotes like I mean, I wish I applied. I've known them for a long time. I wish I applied them sooner. Let's put it that way, right? One is like, the days are long, but the years are short.
Yeah.
Right?
I thought of that
100%.
quote yesterday.
Crazy, right? Like, and I think that's a Andy Stanley quote or something like that. But yeah, the days are long, the years are short. And then the other one, I can't remember who says it, but it's
I'm your Google machine. I'm your Google machine.
It's something like don't ever let somebody they're like don't ever let jobs that anybody could do be more important than jobs that only you can do.
Wow.
And so the crux of that is basically that, okay, yeah, you may be the CEO of a company, you may be the VP of something, you may be the entrepreneur, you may be like, whatever, right? You may be, who knows, you may be just be like, a store clerk. It's fine. But guess what? Almost not anybody could do that, but there's at least 100 other people that can do your job.
Yep.
I guarantee you. Like,
yep.
There's 100 other people that can be Jeff Bezos. Not Jeff Bezos like the dad. I'm talking about Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, right? And so that's a job that anybody can do. But being a dad to your kids, being a husband to your wife, like that's only your job. Like you're the only person put on this earth, however you believe it, right? Like to do that job. And so that's kind of like the crux. And I was like, that actually makes a shitload of sense.
Yeah. So it's from Paul Sloan.
Okay.
Who it says is a management consultant and author. And the short phrase is only do what only you can do.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I've never heard that one before. I love it.
Yeah,
it's
man.
so true. Yeah. Actually, I had another cool experience with my kids this week. It was a little sad in that what you were talking about where the kids are like, "Can you do XYZ?" And your wife is like, "No, busy, or dad's got to work." My 7-year-old daughter was student of the week in her class. And so for that,
that's sweet. Yeah.
They can have somebody, a mystery reader, come and read to the
Yes.
class. And so it was on Thursday at like 11 a.m. And my wife works at the elementary school, and obviously I work at home. And the 7-year-old said to my wife, "We get a mystery reader, but I know you can't because you're at the school, and I know daddy can't because he's got to work." And I'm like, what? She thinks I work all the time, can't do anything? Like, that broke my heart.
Oh, yes.
Because I swear I don't. I swear I don't work all the time. And like, literally from my office, the kitchen is right there. Like, they walk in the house, they come see me every day. So I don't know. That was weird. But anyway, I got to do it. I showed up. She was surprised and it was awesome. But I'm like, girl, if you knew me 20, 30 years ago when I was working like 80 hours a week out of the house and grinding, like, for you to think that all I do is work now is like, oh my gosh.
Crazy, right?
That's crazy, dude.
It is. It is insane, man.
But that is the beauty. That is one of the major benefits of owning your own business, is that if things are set up right, you've got some flexibility to do those like mystery reader things at the elementary school, or at my old job, I probably couldn't have done it because I would have had to drive 30 minutes to get to the school from the job. I would have had to miss a half a day. Like, those are the things that make all the stress and the anxiety worth it.
Yeah. I think that's the thing, right? It's like, regardless of what, and this is completely hindsight 2020. Like I'm speaking from a position not of knowledge, but a position of like, I have the like pain maybe to some extent, right? From my side, which I'm saying like, I don't care what position you're in right now, like, hourly, amazing title, amazing position, amazing this thing, or you're, climbing the ladders too. I think if you can just find and make sure you don't miss out on those moments still, like even if it's just like 1 or 2 a year, man, it's so worth it.
Yeah, you
So worth it.
go to their Christmas concert, or
But yeah, 100%. And they remember that shit, man. They really remember that shit.
Well, if you ever see, like I see these things on TikToks, and the title is always like, "Why it's important to show up," and you see the little guy or the little girl up in the choir, and they're just like kind of singing. They look around, all of a sudden they lock eyes with mom or dad, and they're like,
light up.
"Hey!" And it's
Yeah.
like, I will say, back to my childhood, that was something that I'm very happy with. In that, my mom and dad both showed up to everything that they could.
That's
Like,
awesome, man.
my dad was a wrestling coach and a football coach, and he worked evenings and weekends and all that, but he always tried to make it to everything that I did. But my mom was definitely there all the time. And I, looking back, 40 some years ago, how important that is. Like, I think, like, what if they weren't there? I would have performed differently. I would have felt differently. That would have affected who I am now. Maybe I wouldn't think it's that important to show up for my kids because my parents didn't, but the fact that they were there and I can recognize how that made me feel, like, it's really important for me to be there, for everything I possibly can.
Yeah. No, 100%. It's funny too, because like we, and my son, we went to Chicago, like a boys trip, right? In spring of this year. I think it was like right around March, Aprilish time frame. 2 years before that, we had gone to San Diego, and he loved San Diego. We were on the beach. Like, if you haven't been, I highly recommend San Diego. Like, one of the most
I have not
beautiful
been.
cities. One of the most beautiful, I would say, cities, but like the landscape is just different, man. It's just
I have a
amazing.
friend who's from there, and she would always say, like, just how amazing San Diego is.
Oh, it is amazing. And I recently read a stat that I think it's one of the most biodiverse counties in the country or something.
Wow.
Like that. Anyway, so we go there, had a blast. So then I said, "Hey, it's been a couple of years since we did a boys trip. Let's go." And he was like, "Oh, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go?" And then we finally settled on Chicago, right? And then also that's because like I had like Miles and the blackout dates and whatever, right? All this has to kind of coincide, right? And so we went to Chicago. I swear, man, the whole time he was like, "It's not as fun as San Diego. It's just not the same as San Diego." We would go out to eat. He'd be like, "Oh, let's go eat." And then we were like back in the hotel room. And I'm like, "Oh, let's go do this." He's like, "No, let's go do that." No, we did like the river cruise and everything. And I honestly came back from the trip thinking, "Oh man, that sucks." Like we spent all this time, money going out there, and he didn't really enjoy it, right?
Yeah, we didn't go see any of the sites.
We saw some stuff, but like I didn't feel like he was like, "Oh my god, like that was amazing." He was just like, "Well, it was cool, Dad."
Yeah, you didn't feel like it was impactful on his life.
But so fast forward to 6 months since then, or roughly 6 months. He is like absolutely loved Chicago. He wants like his mom and sister to go with him now. He's like, "Oh, you guys have to see the architecture. We had so much fun." But I'm like, "What are you talking about? Isn't that this is a very different kid than was with me in Chicago, right?" Like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so now he's like, "Hey, like, come this summer or something, let's go back to Chicago and like spend some more time there, and then we'll do this." And he was like, I was like, "All right, okay." But the main point being that like, it's kind of crazy, like how my perception was, oh, he didn't really enjoy it, to like, he did enjoy it. He's probably going to remember that for the rest of his life, right?
Yeah.
Well past, when I'm gone, right? And so
I do think
nuts.
As parents, I do think we have these expectations in our head, or we play these stories in our head, like, okay, we're going to take the kids and we're going to go on this trip, and they're going to be so excited and screaming and it's going to be the greatest thing ever. And while they are having fun and they're forming memories and core memories and experiences, but they're not screaming and hip. "Oh, thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you so much." They're not doing that. And we're like,
Thank you, Lord, for giving me the best parents in the world.
Right. We play that up in our head, and then it's not that. And we're like, "Oh, they hated it," or, "Oh, I can't believe they didn't like it." But then, years later, they'd be like, "Remember when we went to Destin that one year and it was so fun?" It's like, whoa, dude.
I didn't.
When you go to Chicago, then take a little 3-hour drive north to Green Bay. You got to go to Lambeau Field, see the Green Bay Packers, dude.
I mean, my son plays football for high school, so yeah, he'd love that.
Dude, Lambeau Field's legendary. I grew up like 11 miles from it.
Did you go often?
Yeah, we did. And now looking back, I'm like, gosh, what an experience. Like, it's just what you did. You could like got all bundled up and got your little thermos of hot chocolate. You went to the
Nice.
Packers game. And now, I mean, tickets are so expensive. I mean, the season ticket wait list is like 30 years. It's insane.
What?
Dude. So the fact that I got to go as often as I did is wild.
30 years?
Dude, yeah. When I was 22 or 23, I was dating a girl who she was a year older. So she's probably like 25. Her dad had put her on the waiting list the day she was born. So it had been 25 years and she was still like number 200 or something in line. Like, yeah, it's insane, dude.
That's crazy.
It's legendary. But hey, before we go, let's leave with some wisdom. I mean, if nothing else, people take away from today, it's just believing in yourself. Like for me to be where I'm at in my life, like I feel like I surpassed all of my dreams 5 to 10 years ago. Like
Nice.
So happy, grateful, full of joy, you know, and now everything is just a bonus. But I never thought I'd be where I'm at. I never believed that this would happen. And, you know, and it's just once you start to believe like, oh, I deserve what everybody else has. You know, I want people to understand that you're feeling that imposter syndrome. You feel you're not good enough. You are good enough. And everybody feels that way. Even the most successful CEOs, they feel that way. They just deal with it better, you know? So I want people to just...
when you have a win, celebrate. Like, you know, when you have that win.
Yeah. Go to dinner, buy something, do like, yeah,
do
market.
Something. Yeah. Market. Yeah, for sure. All right. With that, I think we sign off.
Cool, man. Talk to you soon.
Take care.